In this lesson, I'm going to show you how I create color palettes, as well as teaching you techniques on finding color combinations and creating your own in Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Color. Let's take a look around.
There are different systems that are used when working digitally. By understanding color systems, you can achieve consistency with the application of color in your design. RGB and CMYK are the most common systems I use when designing. RGB, red, green and blue, is an additive mixing model, meaning you add these three colors in various ways to create other colors. This is used to create content for TVs, screens and projectors. CMYK, which stands for cyan, magenta, yellow and key, or black, is a subtractive mixing model, meaning you subtract these colors from each other to create other colors. This method is used for printing. The color wheel was created in 1666 by Sir Isaac Newton and is used to find harmony in color combinations. The wheel is made up of primary colors, secondary colors, which are colors created from mixing primary colors, and tertiary colors, which are colors created from mixing primary and secondary colors. The color wheel is also divided up into warm and cool hues, which is useful for expressing specific emotions. Tints, shades and tones are variations of the hue and provide other ways of creating colors. Tints are created by adding white. Shades are created by adding black, and tones are created by adding grey. We can use different rules when working with our color wheel to create harmonious color schemes. A few examples of these are complementary, using two colors opposite to each other in the color wheel. Analogous, using three colors that sit next to each other in the color wheel. And triadic, evenly spaced colors around the color wheel. In the 1970s, a new color wheel was designed to more closely align with the way human vision perceives color-making attributes. The HSV color wheel will be familiar to you as it's used in most computer programs today. HSV stands for Hue, Saturation and Value, and is also known as HSB, Saturation and Brightness. Now let's put these theories into practice. So I'm going to show you a few of the methods that I use for creating color palettes for my work. The first method is to use the color reference images that we found from Pinterest. So I've actually screen grabbed the page and brought it into Illustrator. Brought it into a new doc, which is 1920 by 1080. I've saved the file as color palette in my Illustrator folder. So we're going to create color swatches from each of these individual images. If we head to Edit, Preferences, Guides and Grids, I'm going to set the grid line to every 40 pixels. And we can actually see the effect of that if we go to View, Show Grid. So now we can see we've got grid set up. Also need to make sure that Snap to Grid is on. And now I'm going to go to my rectangle tool and start creating a couple of swatch boxes. Just going to make sure that's set to black. And I'm going to copy and paste it a couple more times. Now we can have as many swatch boxes as we like. I'm just going to put a couple of groups above each of the images. Cool, that will do for now. Now all I'm going to do is, using the eyedropper tool here, I'm going to start selecting some of the colors on each of the individual images and put them in the swatch boxes above. So if we just select the eyedropper, just going to start selecting some of the colors in a kind of order, I guess. So we're going to get some blues to start. Kind of orangey yellow. And it's pink. It's a nice kind of selection of those colors. Maybe you can make this pink a bit darker. So you can just select one of the darker areas. And I'm going to do the same with the other images. Now this actually has quite a few colors, so we might be able to create a couple of different swatches from this image. Might keep these grey and pick some of the greens. Selection of colors getting lighter and lighter. Just get rid of this color. And finally, we can create some colors for the middle ones here as well. Particularly like these colors because they're quite bold, vibrant. Cool, that's a nice color selection now. Now we can actually look at the individual colors and see if we want to kind of up the saturation of them, because some of the colors feel a bit dull. If you can come in here and double click on it, we can change some of these values and make them a little bit more punchy. feel a bit muted as well. You can actually just use the slider here as well to adjust the saturation. Now that we've got a good selection of color swatches, let's get them into our swatch panel over here. So I'm just going to select and press Shift and select all these colors, and I'm going to press Delete. You can access your swatch panel by going to Window and selecting Swatches, and that will bring it up to the side here. Then if you select on a whole group, you can come over here and select New Color Group. And you can label that color group and press OK. And that will bring it into your swatch panel. And we're just going to do that for a couple of the different color combinations that I've got here. And now that we've got our swatches in our swatch panel here, they're only accessible to this particular project file. So what we need to do is actually, if we want to use them on other Illustrator files, we need to save them. So in order to do that, you can select on all of these and head to this little button down here and select Save Swatches. And that will bring up a folder directory under a swatch tab in Adobe Illustrator, and you can label them. So I'm just going to call them Domestika. So now they're actually accessible. So if you select here, you can go down to Open Swatch Library, User Defined, and press on that. That'll actually bring up our new kind of swatch panel for this group. So now that we've got a couple of color palettes based on the images we found on Pinterest, I'm going to show you another method for creating and finding color palettes. I'm going to head over to Google and search for Adobe Color. And making sure that you've signed into your Creative Cloud account, I'm going to show you the different options we have here. So we've got this color wheel where we can actually create custom color swatches, moving these circles around. And you've got different modes here as well. So we've got monochromatic. So I'm just going to select one of the modes and actually create a color swatch from it. I might just save this one. So if you click Save here, this will actually save that into your library. Another method is to head over to Extract Theme, and we can actually drop an image into the browser. And that will select on different colors based on the mode here. So we've got colorful, change that to muted and see the effect. That's really useful as well. I'm going to save one of these. I'll save that to my library. And what's great about this is a lot of the colors are actually quite similar in this image, so it doesn't really matter which mode you select on. It actually gives you a color combination that's going to be quite useful. Another option is to head over to Explore. And this is where other users have actually uploaded images and created their own swatches from that image. So I'm going to add this one to my library as well. And you can actually search as well. So search for yellow. And I might select on this one here and add that to my library. You've also got a trends button. And this is similar to Explore. It gives you different options, which are obviously trendy at the moment. Okay, so now that we've got a couple of different options in our library, I'm going to head back to Illustrator. And if we go to Window, Color Themes, basically have a similar user interface as we've got on the browser. So you've got options here actually creating your own color swatches using a similar interface. And in the browser we've got Explore. So you can actually look for different color combinations in here as well. And just add those to the swatches. So if we press Add Swatch. But your library also shows up in My Themes. So if we head here, go to your library, you can actually see that the swatches we saved in the browser are actually also in Illustrator. So we're going to add those to our swatch panel as well.